in, my background is in, yeah, thank you. My background is in applied education. I have worked as a faculty member for many years and then made a career transition into doing workplace learning, and that fascinated me because how do people learn and how do people perform better at the workplace? That always was something that I was interested in. These are just some of my, can you see the waiting room, Mark? There is a guest who is waiting for us.
I got it, thank you.
Okay, all right. So, so moving on, these are some of the relationships that I have cultivated in the last 3 or 4 years since I've actively been working as a consultant. Currently, I work full-time with the city of Norfolk, and I am a part of the team of their talent and organizational development. And you know, so therefore, I do consulting work as well as full-time work. A little bit more, I am also an everything desk authorized facilitator and a provider. So if you are interested in knowing more about those products, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to share information with you. So with that, I wanted to begin our discussion for today because we are such a small, intimate group. I think I would really I'm really hoping that there is a lot of interaction where people are sharing their viewpoints and sharing the lessons learned from their background, and then we all making sense out of how to create good programming for your respective associations. We have another attendee who's coming in. So again, that's a nudge to Mark. Should I admit them?
I got them already there.
They're already there. Okay. Why do I see it? I'm the presenter. So so here is a question, folks. What words come to your mind when I say programming or planning for your association events? Let's give this like about a minute and share your responses on the chat. And I'm going to put the chat box right here. Leadership and communication training, content, engagement. Well, that's a good one, Morgan. Seeing the big picture as well as the smaller steps that are needed to reach the event goal, also delegating, training, etc. Anybody want to add something else to it? Learn something? All right. So, so I think, so thank you for your responses. And yes, I mean, most of you, you know, want the engagement, want the content. You're looking for the, you know, looking at the big picture, how this thing should be planned from a, you know, year, like an annual big plan, and also the granular details of how each event should be executed. And then long-term curriculum, midterm scheduling, etc. Yes, I thought these are all valid points. These are all great, great responses. I also thought if Mark, if you could unmute everyone, and we are such an intimate group, can we all share, you know, names and what type of association we are, you know, you're affiliated with? I think that would be great.
Listen, man. Here's a sampling of what you're going to have.
Mark, I think you might be muted.
Yeah. Mark is muted.
So as I was saying, everybody's unmuted except me, apparently. Oops, there. How about, so everybody has the opportunity here, they're unmuted. Why don't you just let me call out folks? We'll just kind of go around my screen.
I'm going to talk.
So Corey, how about a little self-introduction there?
Currently, I am working with the Toastmasters International Organization. We focus on communication and leadership skills for adults all over the world. So I wanted to come here and learn more about programming and training and things like that, how to make really great trainings through this session.
Okay.
Right.
And so you work for them or do you volunteer for them?
No, I'm a volunteer. I'm thinking about branching off into some other organizations, but I haven't decided where I'm going to land just yet.
Okay, okay.
Right, thanks, Corey. Morgan, how about?
Hey, so I work for Keep Norfolk Beautiful, the city of Norfolk. And right now I am an administrative technician, but because of being a little bit understaffed over there, I've gotten a lot of experience with coordinating and planning events, which I have found that I really love. But I'm also the secretary for SVA VA, and like helping to, I've really enjoyed being able to kind of help get like program ideas together and events that we can do as an organization for like leadership development.
What is SVAVA?
Southeastern Virginia Association of Volunteer Administrators.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, which is why I use the acronym.
Oh yeah, it says EVA. Oh yeah, SIVA, IVA.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, great.
Andrea.
Yes. So right now I'm currently working as an academic advisor for Regent University. And my population, I work exclusively with graduate students, doctoral students, and I wanted to be able to plan more events for them based on their academic needs and the economy. In addition to that, I am also a small business owner. I have my own retail company, Nia Life LLC, and I wanted to gain some more information on how to be able to engage my clientele.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, great.
All right, very cool. Let's see now. My friend Bill Pearsall.
Hello, Bill Pearsall here. So I'm the board president of the Professional Development Consortium of Hampton Roads.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I said that backwards, whether it be the Hampton Roads Professional Development Consortium, but Bill Pearsall here. And I'm also the outreach director for the Hampton Roads International Society for Performance Improvement. So both these are professional development organizations and such. And then on my day job, I'm a consultant. I work with different companies. I've done the human capital strategy plans. Right now I'm working with a client on an ISO certification, International Standards Organization. So I do a little bit of everything. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right, thanks, Bill. Let's see now, who have we called that? How about Tammy, also known as CTEC Civic League?
Yes, because I don't know how to change the name. So,
I'll get that for you if that's okay.
okay. All right. So I'm Tammy Rice, and I'm president of the CTAC Community Civic League. And so I'm also a member of the Virginia Beach branch of AUW. But we have a vice president of program who does an excellent job with that. But with the Civic League, I'm trying to get them to understand that we have to offer more to the community, not just fundraisers where we're always coming to them for money, but we need to also have events or meetings that bring stuff to them where we're not constantly, asking them for money.
Mm-hmm.
So so I wanted to improve the content that they receive in the program, but I want to also educate the committee so it's not just Tammy doing it.
Sure.
That's a crazy idea, having more than just Tammy doing stuff.
Yes.
Good luck with that. All right, and finally, my friend from several moons ago, Teresa Duval. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, good to see you, Mark. Wow, what a group you have here today. I just left my office, which is about 2 rooms away, to join you. So sorry for the delay. And I have to actually get back to finish some work. And I was just so excited to be able to hear what you were going to talk about today. I'm Teresa. I work for the government. I work for Fleet Cyber Command, and I'm a civil servant. And right now I'm doing project management, a very large project called Risk Management Framework. And it's helping the Navy to use a framework to look at how it approaches risk. And we have a deadline, so the project ends, the program ends, the project ends to make this happen by December of 2020. And I was assigned this with a charter in January of last year. So when I saw your interaction activity, what word comes to mind with programming, I was thinking, well, I know what project management's what project management's doing. I am a PMP. I am a cybersecurity professional, and I'm just thrilled to be part of this group today. Thanks, Mark, for hosting this, and Miss Somya, thank you.
Thank you. So this is Mark. So this is the group that we have today, or do we have anyone else in there too?
So that's a subtle hint reminding me to check the waiting room. No, Somya, no one's waiting.
All right. Yeah. So no. I was just making sure. But yeah. So a diverse group, diverse job descriptions and job profiles, and also volunteering at very diverse type of associations. And so basically, so essentially what I just wanted to know was from your background was that what type of work that you do in your associations, and so that we can, being a small group, we can bring in more discussion as we move on into our next slides and through the program today. So the next slide being, so essentially I think I've served on many committees and many associations which are volunteer-based associations, and a typical planning meeting kind of looks like that. And I might have exaggerated on the humor part. I'm an L&D person, love to do PowerPoints, and love speech bubbles and thought bubbles. And so in a planning meeting, you find things happen, even though you make a schedule, even though you plan, you have those big, really great goals at the beginning of your or end of the previous year. But at the last moment, you always have, oh my God, so let's call up our 5 best friends and make them all guest speakers for the 5 events. And then you know, we have five things that are covered in our events. And you can see that all the other folks who are thinking or who are sharing their viewpoints are, why are we doing this? Or what is the return of investment of the member who is paying the dues or enrolling, or, you know, paying the registration fee for the year? You know, like many times, and again, this is kind of and this is anecdotal, this is humorous, but it happens in most, I think, half, if not more, of many of the associations where the planning, just when it comes to education and event planning and educational event planning, things fall flat because of various reasons. And you know, as we have moved more into doing education using all different types of media and digital tools and social media, this endeavor has become even more complex and even more frightening to people who serve on the committees, because even even though you're volunteering and you are the social media director, you sometimes are the only person who's posting and responding to your questions at the same time. And you're wondering that there are 100 people on this association. Even one person is not answering to my post. And we see that, and we see that happen. I mean, I have sat on committees where this has happened before. And Mark, we have Ben Hudson, who's waiting in the waiting room for us.
I knew that.
So let's move on to so essentially, I think this issue is very common, has been lingering for many years. And I thought that maybe using how we solve problems in learning and development and training and development, maybe we can find a way to co-create using those concepts and make something worth the while. So that's essentially why I thought that this would be a great topic to bring forth today, because people volunteer in these associations. They may be professional, they may be religious, they may be neighborhood associations. It is volunteering. It is, you're serving on these committees. We don't have enough time in the day to put in the effort and put in the time to do all the planning. So I understand when people are not bringing their most productive energy into serving on the committees, because there is not enough time to do that. So moving on to the next slide, essentially, I thought this is a great way to put it, is this is an iceberg, the iceberg theory, where people, essentially what it is you only see the top of the iceberg. You have not seen what is underwater. So in an ideal programming, or in an ideal, very successful association, what you see are well-attended events. What you see is a conference which is really really well-attended and well-managed. You see online resources. You also see membership satisfaction, increase in the number of membership, a very active web presence, social media presence, and a lot of enriching programming that is not sporadic, but is a continuous learning journey for anybody who is joining that particular association. What goes underneath, or what is all the strategy and the planning, which, some of them that I've listed in here, right from getting the buy-in from the leadership, or having an SEO strategy. If you are, now I'm not going to say if, we have to be present on the web. We have to engage all the time with our membership. We also should have a good marketing strategy if we are looking to have a sale, a selling plan, or a sale and marketing plan connected to our association, and that is going to be a revenue stream. SEO, sponsorships, all those reasons, they become the foundation that that people will not see, but those are the foundational pieces that go into anything that looks like a really well-run and efficient and effective programming schedule in any association. So, so with that, let's move into, when I was thinking of how do we figure out how do we figure out in an association when you are planning for educational events, how should we plan that? How do you know, or what is the process of planning? And again, I am going to ask Mark to unmute everyone so that we can share our views here. And or maybe I should first give you a little walkthrough of what an empathy map is. Empathy map essentially is used by marketing folks. It's also used for target persona building in L&D. We do that a lot when we are designing training, and also for design thinking. I wanted to use some concept of design thinking when for making the content for this particular talk. And I think what is important for any association which involves people is to know those people. Many times when we sit on the planning, during the planning meetings, if we have not collected the information by looking at each and every member and trying to see who are our different types of membership personas, we may be just making assumptions. And a lot of times those assumptions might be true, but many a times those assumptions will be not a complete list. For instance, an empathy map essentially puts the human being in the center. I mean, this is the human beings are members of our associations, right? So let's put the human being in the center. So why is this individual a member of your association? And I'm going to use Tammy's example of the CTUC Civic League, right? Tammy mentioned that, you know, that she wants to look for ideas of what else could we do to make an offering to give services to our residents in addition to just asking for money and doing fundraisers. How do we bring them this return of their investment of what we know the membership that they are paying, membership fee that they're paying. So when you look at an empathy map, and again, you make it essentially like this, you put the human being in the center, and you are going to think about what the human being is thinking, what your member is thinking. That member could be, and again, from the CTUC Civic League perspective, let's use that as our hypothetical example. Our membership could be what? A younger gentleman, right? So this is our younger gentleman, digitally savvy, his age group, maybe he has a college degree, maybe he has a small business, and maybe he is a transplant, maybe he's a military. See, so we are looking at what is he thinking when he comes into the Civic League meeting. What is his motivation that he is in that Civic League?
Right.
All those things become a part, and you and your members of your planning committee, you sit and you think about how many such people are there in your neighborhood, in your Civic League, and you will think about what are their challenges, what are their motivators to come into the Civic League, what do they do? Maybe this person wants to buy a house and he thinks that the CTUC neighborhood is the best neighborhood because of the school system. I don't know, but all those little granular details, and you have to go into that granular detail in order to find out who your member is, who your learner, human being is. Let's take an example. There could be another person here. So now we have a woman. Maybe, you know, she looks like she could be an educator, or she could be a boss. She's a certain age group. All those things have to go into, and demographics is big. Why is she in the Civic League? What is her motivation to be in the Civic League? Maybe, and I'm again, as just for an example, maybe she's looking for friends. Maybe she has a hobby. Maybe she likes to, you know, take a whiteboard and make drawings with erase-free markers, and that's her hobby. Maybe she wants to find other people who have the same hobby. It could be any of those things. And you go into that granular detail to find what are their motivations.
Gotcha.
And another example, again, I've also put another example of a person who could be a parent. And again, from our Civic League perspective, maybe that person wants to have, his motivation is to maybe find other parents who are, who have children of the similar age group, to have a parent group, or to have, maybe he wants to start a business. It could be any infinite number of reasons.
Right.
And as people who are collecting and making those observations, and how would we make those observations? It is by surveying, it is by interviewing.
I just wrote that down.
What's that?
I just wrote that down to do a survey.
Yes, exactly. By surveying them, by all those one-on-one talks that you may have on the meeting. Maybe there is a way to just make a script and distribute amongst your members, and ask them that even if people get fatigued looking at the word survey. People don't take surveys. Right. Maybe you could slip the survey questions in a chat, and just to get anecdotal information on why are they here.
Right. I was thinking I might even can just post a question on our Facebook page and see what they respond. But also, we've been talking about engaging our members because of COVID. So if we put together a list of questions, the membership committee was going to start splitting up the list and call people. Maybe that's another way to engage, because they're not sure what they're going to say to them. Now we would have something for them to say. Yes. I love that idea. Thank you.
And so when you go into that whole to know why the person, what is that human being feeling when he or she are joining your an association, that is the starting point of why they will stay. Right. People make decisions in a tenth of a second. I mean, we go into we have seen it, 2 scroll down, anything that is longer than 2 scrolls, we don't even read it. Those decisions are quick. So think about somebody who has physically going to come or log into the Zoom to come into the Civic League meeting. That's a lot of motivation. So to understand why is this individual coming into the association, you have to go into what is he, she, or they are feeling in for joining this particular association. And Civic League is a more common type of an example. Even professional associations, a lot of times, because we have a confirmation bias. I see only women of my age group. So whenever I think about who is in my association, oh, I remember that's Miss A, Miss B, Miss C, Miss D. They're all my age group. So you think that, oh, whatever I am thinking is essentially going to be the right topic for programming. But hey, our brain plays those tricks on us, right? So you've missed out a lot of people, or a lot of age groups, a lot of interest groups who probably had joined your professional association for a different type of motivation, and you may be losing on them. And that's why when you see that people stop coming after second or third meeting, you have, and any association should stop and press pause and think, did we miss out? Did people fall through the cracks because they did not get what they were thinking or what they were expecting when they joined the association? So this is essentially how we start a learning persona. And again, making observations, doing surveys, doing interviews, all of them gives you the personas. And it could be one persona, it could be 3, it could be 4 different personas. There could be seniors who are in an association. Why are they there? All those questions, you have to spend time to dig and dive deeper to figure out why they are in a particular place. What is their motivation? And so I just put some pictures of different personas just to show an idea that everyone has a different motivation why they join an association. And then after that, once you've done this hard work, the next step is going to be your planning, right? And as you plan, So now what you should have in your first step or end of first step is the personas. Every persona with what they're thinking, why they joined, what was their motivation, how do they feel when they come into the association, all those details for each and every persona that you got. And then you may pick one or two or look at the majority of people, and however you want to decide, you may do that. However, the next step is going to be the factors that you're going to consider as you are planning. Now, for this example, I'm going to choose a professional association as an example. And there are several factors, and scheduling, relevance, communication, delivery, credentialing and incentivization, and measurement and optimization of whatever education or education events or programming events that you are pushing. There are several factors that go into them. Number one, let's take scheduling. For scheduling, many a times people have frameworks or calendars that the planning committees open in the beginning of the year as they're planning, but they don't find speakers. Maybe you want to consider, an example would be, maybe you want to consider several channels of scheduling, not just one channel, but make it a multi-channel scheduling, that you're having several different types of programming using several different channels that you have used. For instance, you have a programming that is going on as a newsletter that comes out every 3 months. You also have a monthly book club. That's another programming. You also have, in addition to that, a social media handle that you know that your persona, the persona that you knew, they use that particular handle more. So according to whatever generation and the age group preference, there are different social media that they use, and you may want to tap into that. And there could be some programming that you could offer there. What you're looking for in your planning is to give people options so that they don't forget that you existed. And so make multiple ways to reach them, multiple ways to put your message across, even whatever it is, whether it is an education or training, or whether it is a social interaction and networking. The other one is relevance. And this holds true for many professional associations. A lot of our education programming that we do is not relevant, because when we look for speakers who are not aligning with who our members are, what you get is somebody who has a lot of knowledge, but it is not aligned with the needs of who is sitting in the audience.
That's true.
And so you have to have the relevance of whoever you're calling, again, and that goes back to our learner persona. Who is going to be the membership? Who are those people? Why are they in your association? That, and after that, you can target on your designing your relevant education, or calling speakers who are relevant to the topics that people want to learn about. I've seen, like, in some associations, people want to learn new softwares. People want to learn new technology that is being used in a particular profession. But time and time again, when they attend, they find people who come and do presentations and talk about something. Okay, those things are great to have, but if membership is telling you that we want to do an interest group where everybody gets together and learns this software that is very important for our skill development, then why are you not doing that? You know, why is programming not taking care of that need and providing that to the memberships? This is just an example. The next one comes as communication. When I say communication, I mean everything, every form of communication, right from word of mouth to media, to social media, to writing blogs, doing emails, doing the MailChimp, everything. What is your communication? Again, is your communication aligning with the membership? Do they even open Facebook that you're sending Facebook messages? And so all those things become really important when we are, and they all go back to what the learner needs and what the learner feels and what they are using. Because we may be spending a lot of time and a lot of resources on sending emails, but nobody reads emails. And so there you go. You have, that's not the right return of investment that you want if you're sending emails and people actually don't read them because there's so many of them. Yes, Tammy. You're muted.
With our Civic League, we have an older population, and we found that we have there's a calling service called Calling Post. And if we use the Calling Post, they respond immediately. As a reminder for meetings, if we're trying to rally for city council or a special town hall meeting, if we send out that Calling Post, they are like on it. Or if they miss the call, they're calling back. Did you send a Calling Post? What was it? I missed the call.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but if I do a newsletter or a Facebook post,
Exactly. So that's definitely one of your learning persona. That's one of your member persona. An older individual who doesn't care about Facebook. That they have their communication through that calling. What is it called? Calling Post?
It's called Calling Post.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I can leave a message and it goes, I think I have we have like a little over 200 people on it.
Okay.
And it calls and leaves a message and it gives me back a report of who it went to.
Okay. And again, other folks, if you want to add something in, please jump in. We are a very small, intimate group. So, let's just talk and solve this, and learn from each other as a social learning group. So I'll keep going. The next is delivery. And again, most of the associations have actually felt the brunt of it since March when COVID-19 happened. And what we have is a lot of our places where we used to meet. Now we can't go there and meet, all those halls in the churches and high schools and universities, classrooms, which were all given for delivery and doing programming. We can't do that anymore. So we started doing Zoom. Another thing to consider here is the education, especially, and this holds true for associations that do, professional associations that actually do continuing education and professional development type education programming. Where is all that education programming going? I mean, if I'm coming in and I'm talking about the skill development thing, and I'm doing this presentation for an hour and a half, that is an educational piece. Is somebody recording it? Does it go? Where is it going? How is it stored? Does it become a resource that people in the membership could use again? What are we going to do with that? And those, as we are recording and we are capturing all this data, we need to also know what we are going to do with the recording, right? I mean, it's not for just looking at people who couldn't make it, but maybe you could actually, if you see a theme, you could make a module out of it and be like, hey, we had like 5 people who were talking about topic A, and now we have these 5 different ways to solve that problem, or whatever the topic might be. Those are also ways or factors that will go into planning as we're moving more towards virtual delivery. And because slowly, when the physical spaces will open, maybe things will change, maybe things will look a little bit different. But this is also important to know what is the delivery, what is the mode of delivery, and so on. I'm going to check the chat for just a second. Oh, thanks, Mark. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So, and then the last two were, again, kind of holds more for professional associations. Why would a member pay $100 a year or whatever it is to become a member of your association and come and after work and attend these talks? What are they getting out of it, right? So many times you find associations will have their own credentialing body, or they would use continuing ed education units, or they might get affiliated to a larger body in their field of work, and make it an incentive for people to come and gain something. It is an investment of time. If you are driving after 6 p.m. to get into another place where you're going to sit hungry for another 1 hour, that is dedication, man. You have to find something more to give them. And even though it is volunteering, you have to find, again, this is something to consider or in your planning, whether the education that you're providing, whether it can be incentivized, whether it could be made into a certification, whether it could be made into a badge, or whatever the case might be according to your particular discipline of work. And finally is measurement and optimization. When we are planning, we don't want to reinvent the wheel every year. We want to optimize our process, keep it sustainable so that, whether I leave the post of becoming a coordinator or Tammy takes in the post and becomes a social media director, the framework still remains the same. Everybody knows what to do, and it's sustainable. Because a lot of times we hear this in associations that, oh, when Somya was there, oh, we had really poor programming. But now when Tammy is here, we have the best programming. She knows everybody around. She calls everybody on the call post. And so we don't want that. We want sustainable framework, right? It doesn't matter whether Somya was there or Tammy was there. And the next is measurement. As we are collecting, gathering people and having them come to education events and social networking events, keep collecting, keep asking questions. Don't sit still that, oh my God, we actually did our learning persona and we are all happy. Now we have a planning thing. No, keep asking, what else do they need? What else is the membership thinking? What else do you think that they may need? What are they happy about? What are they unhappy about? Don't send surveys, but actually start scripting the survey and start asking questions. So you could decide on the survey questions in your mind and keep asking to people, because a lot of times surveys are fatiguing. You can put a few surveys here and there, but also collect data in every way possible to keep looking at what is working and what is not working, right? So Teresa has a question here. What successful tools have you used for measurement? Measurement of engagement? Is that Teresa, can you go on unmute?
Sure, I'll try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was looking at the measurement, when people say measurement, and I was listening to you, and I think what you said was, as I was typing it, you said that you gauge it rather than by surveys, that you go out and ask. And measurement means so many things to people. Yeah. And I was just interested in any tools that you might have used that were successful to gauge, or to measure whether what the planning, in your planning phase.
Exactly, yes. And so, thank you so much. So we are talking now about a metric also. So when we are planning and when we are all sitting in the planning meeting, what are we going to measure? That's the question, right? I mean, are we going to measure the number of people who are attending these events? Are we going to measure the number of increase in membership? And these are two different metrics, right? How do you measure the success of your event? By people who came in and bought the tickets and came to the conference? Yeah, that's a metric. And then you could also use tools like surveying, and SurveyMonkey is one, and you could write them up and send a digital survey. People, you could do your, the typical retail tool, and I'm forgetting the name. It's the smiley face and the not smiley face and 5 stars. You could do that as well. Because if your measurement, your metric is whether people are satisfied or not, and you're not going granular into finding, variables of whether they were highly satisfied or less satisfied, so what are you going to measure is also an important question, because just having a lot of people during Christmas networking event does not mean that it's successful. People coming consistently, probably at every event, may be a measurement of success. Is that the metric you're looking for? Teresa, did I answer your question, or do you want to know more in terms of what digital tools are? Yeah.
I think that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, because see, a lot of times, we're human beings. We really want other people to come and see our efforts, because we are putting our time and effort into planning and advertising and doing social media and all these things, and in our volunteering organizations. And I think a lot of times, because we feel that, oh, a lot of people should attend. That's a great, that'll be great. That is a great thing. But I think to figure out what your success should look like at the end of the year, maybe that is another alternate way to looking at it. If the same 60 people are coming or same 25 people are coming, is that the metric you're going for? Or would you like that maybe 50 people came, so now your revenue increased? So maybe you tapped into the college student demographic that you'd never even thought about. So those are the little tweaks that we can do during our planning. And again, going back to the empathy map. Who is not coming? I'm very surprised in some of the associations that I have sat, that people don't go to young professionals, people don't go to college students who are getting ready to join professions and getting into the pipeline of skill development and becoming professionals. And they are an untapped resource of membership. So that's just an example to show that many times we tend to see people who are like us, our experiences, our age group, our education background, and so on and so forth. There is a lot going on which is in our blind side, or which sort of falls in the blind spot. The next question anybody has a question here?
I say that's smart. So I just want, there are tons of things about how membership associations operate, to measure. And of course, membership engagement is huge, that we've been talking about. I just want to, like a little sneak preview, when we wrap up this evening, I'm going to ask everybody to take this little 2-minute survey. And that survey, it's what I use for every single presentation from the Professional Development Consortium. And you'll see that it speaks to what did you understand, what happened here tonight? Are you motivated to use it back in your home organization? And did you learn any challenge or how to overcome challenges in there? So for me, and I stole this from somebody else, I thought those were wonderful measures of what's really important. Are you going to use what you heard here today is kind of what it boils down to. So it's not really an assessment or a measure necessarily of how Somya did today, as it is a measure of this entire learning experience. This is one of the things that I think is just absolutely critical with membership associations is, measuring what matters as opposed to measuring what's convenient. And, I will fight the urge to go on for hours like, on this, at least in this forum. But if anybody would ever want to, talk about that, I've got, good handful of examples and thoughts on that. So, and
No,
so
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
one other thing, and I know that you used the example of a professional association for this slide, but I was wondering if you or maybe somebody else here, Tammy, from CTAC, Teresa, your time with FCA. Not all organizations, particularly the ones that are not professional societies, credentialing is not necessarily a thing, in terms of a formal, you need this to advance in your profession. So I'd be interested in other folks' thoughts, if I may, on what is there in the way of incentivization, for your members there?
So I live in an older community where everybody knows everybody, kind of like a small town kind of thing. So for me, anytime they're mentioned or their church is mentioned or group they're affiliated is mentioned, all of that is important to them. So whenever we do anything, if it involves, we take pictures, we try to make sure we get them posted. Those are the kind of, they want the recognition of being a member or being a part. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think you can tie it to measurement as well.
They want the, yeah. And we do a big, well, not this year, we're not doing it, but in November, we usually do or October, a big image award gala. And we've had people who lived in our community for over 50 years. So we recognize them as lifetime community, and they want that. They're waiting for that all year.
Wow.
To, who are you recognizing this year, and that kind of thing. And actually we do it because we know if they're from a big family, they're going to buy several tables. So, it helps fills up our event.
Okay.
Oh, Teresa sent y'all a message.
Yeah, I just wanted to say farewell. If everybody can read that, I got to get back there and I'm like, I'm supposed to be back on at 7. I really wish I could stay here longer because I'm enjoying the heck out of hearing all of you talk. So, Mark, this was so kind of you to set this up, and I can't wait till I can hear from Somya again too, and yourself. To all of you, good luck and best wishes, and Godspeed. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Teresa. Appreciate that.
So, so my next question for you all was, again, we are not going to use the annotation tool, but I would like for you all to, again, we can unmute all of you and share from this slide, what is the most important area or factor that your association is dealing with right now. And, we can do a quick round robin and share a little bit about that we would like to, or like to know. Mark, could you unmute everybody?
Actually, everyone could unmute themselves. So
okay. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll start. Let's see. I think for programs, relevance might stick out, a little bit above the hedges there. They're all important. All these things are. But to get folks there, I think relevance is an important thing.
Okay. Why do you have the programming is not it's not aligning well with the people who attend, or, how do you know?
Are you saying, no, well, I was meaning that it's important to be relevant. Was the question of what challenges we're having, or what do we think is most important?
No, in your association, what is something that you're dealing with? I was asking in that term.
Oh, well, challenges might be with communication for us. We're a bunch of folks that aren't necessarily web warriors or anything like that. We haven't had that consistent type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That might be our most challenging part of these things.
Yeah, like a pain point of that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to share?
SVA/VA is kind of dealing with a similar thing as Bill, in that our programming, I think our struggle is getting the programming. We're actually working with Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities on a workshop for next year. But in the last year and a half or so, that's really been the biggest thing. We've had a few speakers, but I think just finding those resources, I've really wanted to help. And when I was attending ODU, went to like a leadership lecture series, and there's a lot of great speakers. And so now it's, how do I find those people? How do I get them to come speak? So we're kind of realizing that maybe we should put a little bit more of our funds towards paying speakers to incentivize them to come now that we have the funds. And of course, we've worked with PDCHR on other workshops, or try to come together on some workshops.
Yeah.
Maureen, you and I have to talk about this whole concept of paying for speakers, but we can do
that. I volunteered for VCIC, Morgan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love that organization. Jonathan Zer and his team is really awesome. And
we're working with Paula Bazemore on a diversity and inclusion. That's the workshop. It's gonna be like a 4-part workshop that will invite all the other pretty much all the professional organizations, I think, to join in. But as like an incentive to help maybe get some new membership signups, is that SVA/VA is putting some of our own funds towards helping members go to the workshops, like basically giving them a discount on the workshops. Right. So kind of trying to incentivize that way.
That's a good idea.
Anyone else?
I got to join that group. We talked about that, Mark. Because professionally, I'm the volunteer coordinator for Centera Hospice.
Oh, where? Because it's, I mean, SVA/VA is for all of Hampton Roads, so.
Yep. That's a big. I was gonna say for my group, it's probably the challenge is Relevance program. In the past, when I wasn't on the board, sometimes I felt like the program evolved around people who wanted to come and talk to CTAC community because they want to market their company in CTAC. And again, that's why I was saying I want to get away from, so you have people who don't come because they think, oh, that's somebody's trying to sell me stuff. Whereas I've tried this the past year. One of our most successful meetings was I had the 2 elementary schools and the middle school principal actually came to our meeting. And so anyone who had any kids involved with school all showed up because they had an opportunity to hear directly from the principals themselves, as well as engage with them with questions. And so that, that was a good fit. We've been very fortunate with the city council people coming, but getting people from the city about things that affect our community has also been big turnouts. And anytime we talk about jet noise, we have to move it to a church. But otherwise, the ones in between, making sure that we stay with that kind of same momentum and not have people coming because they're trying to sell them something.
Yes. I mean, in many associations that happens a lot of lot of the consultants would come in and, they're pitching for the, and I think it's a delicate balance because you don't want to have almost all of them as people coming and using your platform to pitch their sale. But but a lot of times you would have to, like sometimes, you could. Yeah, so that's interesting to know. Any other points, or we should move into the next slide?
Go for it.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna go for it. So essentially the third step after that, after we have considered the learner persona, we have empathized, made learner personas, and looked at the factors, what we are measuring, something like a programming framework would be really interesting and really useful. And I thought let's put that up in like a simple Excel spreadsheet, and Mark will share that with you. This thing is, I just made it. You can make it too, but why would you spend 10 minutes? Because I spent mine, so you can actually use it. So I just made that, and it had some of the things that I emphasized on, that if you're looking for scheduling ongoing continuous programming of some sort of an educational push, these are your examples of educational things that you could do. Social media posts or discussions and so on. Some of the seasonal topics could be, it could be around holidays, or it could be around, for certain associations, I'm thinking if it's a hobby association like gardening, we are talking about season changes. So maybe at a change of a certain season, people want to know about how to plant bulbs in fall. So that could be a seasonal topic that you could do, so on and so forth. And then you can also break it down to monthly things, what you do. So you can enter your themes here. A lot of times associations will use common head themes that they could be using. And then finally, quarterly, like, what do you want to do in every quarter? One thing, I don't know, a conference, maybe a mini conference, maybe a luncheon, maybe a newsletter, whatever it is, have that going on, make it consistent. And here is the learner persona needs. What are they looking for? So all that information, what your learner personas, age group, demographic, what they prefer, what they want, whether they are there for networking, whether they are there for education, skill development, whether they want technical skills, whether they want just to get to know people and so on, looking for a job, career change. All those things should come in there, and you can see patterns that will emerge, and you can bucket them into smaller clusters and find and help, it will help you in aligning your programming topics more effectively. So this is essentially what I thought would be helpful, a framework. And any of you who, I'm very sure many of you have a similar type of framework. If you have something that has something additional to it, or you think another factor or variable that you have added, please share right now, because I could add this to mine, and I think some of our peers can learn from that as well. So yeah, please let me know if you have any other thing to add to this, or and so on, and Mark would send the Excel spreadsheet to you all for your use, if you want to use for your planning purposes.
So I'll jump in there and answer that question. Other things that might appear on here. As you're speaking, I took a quick look at my scheduler for the consortium, and one of the things that I like about it, and it's very similar to this. I don't have the learning persona, which is pretty handy to have that in front of you. But I've got a a countdown timer basically for every piece of communication. So 6 weeks before an event, I know that's when I do the press release. 3 weeks is when I use the email list and all that stuff. So that's all laid out in there. But for the convenience of actually executing this stuff is I use some standard structures in the communications. I mean, this is what the 3-week always looks like, but I only change a few words, you know, the topic, you know, the challenges, the instructor and stuff like that. So in this spreadsheet, it's actually a database, but it's pretty simple. You know, I can actually have all that messaging pre-built, you know, say for this event, for this one tonight, you know, Dr. Dwivedi-Burks, it'll be talking about this, and all of that messaging is pre-populated, and then I just have to drop it into whatever channel there is there. So, but having one of these, I think, is just really important, and it also goes back to the 6 factors slide. Is to do this right drives having the schedule, or having a schedule drives doing this right. And I'm a big fan of schedule first, speakers second. You know, because if you publicize your schedule of events and what you're going to talk about in general, that offers you and the rest of your organization an opportunity for a lot of commitment to actually, you know, identify the right speaker and do the right marketing, as opposed to playing catch up. So a tool like this is, I think, is absolutely critical, especially if you put on a lot of events, and even SVA, I mean, for, you know, get your quarterly events, you know, plus, you know, 1 or 2 other things in there. Yeah, I still think it'd be a wonderful tool, even, you know, with just, you know, 5-6 events per year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm a big fan of spreadsheets. So I'm so glad you put this up. I'm so glad we'll be getting it, because I think this also helps with kind of creating those breadcrumbs for future, you know, organizational leaders to use, so that you have that, like Tammy was saying, that you go from having like one person who does a really good job, or not that they're not doing a good job, but that they have a lot going on, and then another leader who is struggling to keep things going on. And you have this, so they can kind of go back and look and get that inspiration, see what's done, what was really popular, and maybe they should bring back.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, and I was, when Mark just mentioned, thanks for your input. And I think adding, even you could add another layer to it and put like your templates, like your email templates and your things that go out, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel per se every time. Your templates, your program blurbs that go in, and you know that every June we have to write about something. Every May we are going to write about this topic or whatever. And if you can find those themes, you can make, like, enrich it and make it more and more layered as this big framework that you can just be like, hey, let's open this. This is where the templates are. This is where our scheduling looks like. And that's the timeline. And I love what Mark mentioned about the reminders. Like, you know, these emails should go on the 3rd week, and this is one that we should receive by the 2nd week of the next month or whatever. And just layer it and make it a rich document that all members can, you know, the planning committee can use. And it shouldn't be that, oh yeah, you know, social media person has her own emails and she will not share it with anybody. I mean, you need, those templates are once written, and they can be, they're evergreen. You could use them again and again. And it just makes a lot of sense to kind of have that kind of a framework. Thank you so much for sharing your input, Morgan. Any other suggestion, any other thing to add? Yeah, I mean, that would be great. Anyone? Or I'm going to move to our, I think that this is the last slide. So anyway, that's a summary. 3-step process. You empathize with your membership, empathize with the human. When you put human in the center of your design and think about it, spend time with what is the feeling that the human being has when they come into your association. What is their motivation? What is their emotional need of coming to your association? Things, you know, you will find a lot of hidden information. And that is your empathy map. Second, you define your problem, look at the factors to be considered, all those different factors, they could be even more. You know, break it down into simpler, smaller chunks that are easy to digest, easy to measure. Look for metrics, don't look for people, you know, find the right metrics, find the right thing to measure, not always head count. And then refine and strategize. So in your strategy for your programming, keep refining it. I mean, we just refined it already, that we should add dates to it, and we should add reminders to it, maybe templates to it, and make it more layered and make it more kind of an effective and a sustainable framework. And with that, I think, yeah, I mean, I think that was the last slide. And yeah, we must design for the way people behave and not for how we would wish them to behave. And with that, thank you so much for this opportunity, Mark and PDCHR. And any other questions, please reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I have my email that is on the bottom, somya@somyatrains.com, and would wish to talk to you about if you have a learning opportunity or would just like to brainstorm about an idea or a learning solution. Thanks a lot. And Mark is prompting us to take that survey, and thank you so much.
So again, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you especially Somya for giving of your time and expertise and sharing. This is what PDCHR is all about. You know, really, if we can make our neighborhood associations, our professional associations, and everybody else around here operate more effectively and efficiently, not only do they elevate their membership, but they elevate the community writ large. So I thank you all for your efforts to elevate Hampton Roads, and tons of takeaways here. You all have homework assignments. I don't know if they're being graded, but as mentioned before, we will wrap this up right here in a minute or two. I put a link in the chat window. If you would take 2 minutes to go ahead and fill that out. You already know what the questions are because I already told you. In the meantime, just a couple things that are coming up ahead. 1 month from now, so again, second Wednesday, I'm looking at my calendar here, on July 8th, again, 6 o'clock in the evening, we'll be doing an online workshop focused on decision making. So, you know, the tools that your organization can use to make decisions, as opposed to the, crap, we're out of time or money, so now we have to do something type of decision. so I'm pretty excited about that. And we continue to have something to entertain you, an opportunity for learning every single month. Follow us on Facebook or anywhere else at Go PDCHR. So Go PDCHR is our, you know, handle everywhere. Okay. But I'm also approaching 60, so you can guess exactly how much social media I pump out. But there's some on my clock. So we said we'd be sharing a bunch of stuff with you. So Somya's graciously agreed to share out the slide deck and the spreadsheet for the planning spreadsheet. I'll include a link to this recording and the chat transcript, as long as I don't lose it on the way out. And anything else you come up with in terms of resources. I'll also add Somya's contact information in that. So you'll get an email Friday, thank you for this, and it'll send you readily to a resources page that you can root through and stuff like that. So I've probably talked through the time it took to do the survey. So thank you for those who did do that. Thank you all for attending. And we were scheduled to go to 7:30, so enjoy the gift of time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and Bill will be left alone with his refrigerator repairman, and I'm okay with that. So. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a
All
great
right,
night.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Have a good night. Thank you. Thanks for participating.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.